Aya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtike. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhandatamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapti Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirviseshasha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We continue today our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading the second canto, chapter 9, text 40. So, the Lord has just is instructed to Brahmaji, the 4 Chatusloki Srimad Bhagavatam. So reading from text 40 now. Prajapatir Dharmapatir Ekada Yaman Bhadram Prajanam Anvichan Atisthat Swartha Kamayaya. Thus, once upon a time, the forefather of living entities and the father of religiousness, Lord Brahma, situated himself in acts of regulative principles, desiring self-interest for the welfare of all living entities. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One cannot be situated in an exalted position without having undertaken a regulative life of rules and regulations. An unrestricted life of sense gratification is animal life, and Lord Brahma, in order to teach all concerned within the jurisdiction of his generations, taught the same principles of sense control for executing higher duties. So we can see it's repeatedly everywhere, it just keeps repeating Srimad Bhagavatam, that the aim of life is not for us to unrestrictedly enjoy our senses, but the aim of life is that we have to regulate our life, follow some rules and regulations. There are the do's and there are the don'ts. Like the do's are engage in bhakti, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. Don'ts are don't engage in illicit activities. So that we can be situated in our true position. He desired the welfare of all as servants of God, and anyone desiring the welfare of the members of his family and generations must conduct a moral religious life. So we always want to do the best for our family, but do we know what is the good? How can we do the best for our family? Here Prabhupada is saying that Brahmaji, because we are all coming from Lord Brahma. See, so he's also our father. Yeah, he is the one who's given us the shapes. So he wanted the good for everybody. So he set an example. So we are also wanting to do good for our family, but what are we doing? Is it going to be really good for them or no? The best good that we can do for our family is that we ourselves become devotees and encourage them to become devotees. And if they don't want to, that's okay, but somehow or the other, just connect them to Krishna. The highest life of moral principles is to become a devotee of the Lord, because a pure devotee of the Lord has all the good qualities of the Lord. On the other hand, one who is not a devotee of the Lord, however qualified he may be in the mundane sense of the term, cannot be qualified with any good quality worthy of the name. So here, Prabhupada is saying that only the devotees of the Lord have good qualities. That's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. He says that if one becomes a devotee, automatically he gets all the divine qualities. And so why, if one is not a devotee, even if he's very qualified, highly educated, university degrees, or highly talented, then why, if that person is not a devotee, does not have still any good quality? Because he's not understanding the main point, that we are actually all eternal souls, servants of Krishna. So then we are just doing everything with the body. And so then we have so many material desires. The pure devotees of the Lord, like Brahma and persons in the chain of disciplic succession, do not do anything to instruct their subordinates without acting accordingly themselves. So this is the way of teaching others, the acharyas. They don't only speak, they don't say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. No, they do it themselves. So they themselves become an example. And then they also say, you follow as I'm doing. Is that okay?
Yes.
Like we can see that nowadays the children, they don't have much respect for the teachers, because they can see that the teachers themselves are not following what they are saying. If we see in many schools and universities, we can see more and more that the teachers are not, the students are not respecting the teachers as before, before the students would respect the teachers, because before the teachers would also be very great examples. So if we want to influence somebody, we want somebody to follow the moral etiquette, then we should also do the same. Text 41. Tam narada priyatamo rikthadanam anuvritaha shushrushamanaha shilena pashrayena damena cha. Narad, the most dear of the inheritor sons of Brahma, always ready to serve his father, strictly follows the instructions of his father by his mannerly behavior, meekness, and sense control. So Brahmaji instructed to Narad Muni, and Narad Muni perfectly follows the instructions. And that's how Narad Muni is such a great spiritual master. He has changed the lives of so many personalities. Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Mrigari the hunter, These are just a few examples. Vyasadev, Narad Muni is also the guru of Vyasadev. So reading on, text 42. Mayam vividishan vishnor mayeshasya mahamunihi mahabhagavato rajan pitaram parayatosayat. Narad very much pleased his father and desired to know all about the energies of Vishnu, the master of all energies. For Narad was the greatest of all sages and greatest of all devotees, O king. Lord Brahma, being the creator of all living beings in the universe, is originally the father of several well-known sons like Daksha, the Chatushanas, and Narad. So Daksha is one of the Prajapatis. He's also a son of Brahma. The four Kumaras, Narad. In three departments of human knowledge disseminated by the Vedas, namely fruitive work, Karmakant, transcendental knowledge, Jnanakant, and devotional service, Upasnakant, Devarashi Narad inherited from his father Brahma devotional service, whereas Daksha inherited from his father fruitive work, and Sanak, Sanatan, etc. inherited from their father information about Jnanakant or transcendental knowledge. But out of them all, Narad is described here as the most beloved son of Brahma because of good behavior, obedience, meekness, and readiness to render service unto the Father. And Narad is famous as the greatest of all sages because of his being the greatest of all devotees. Narad is the spiritual master of many famous devotees of the Lord. He is the spiritual master of Prahlad, Dhruva, and Vyas, down to the forest animal hunter Kirata. His only business is to turn everyone to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, all these features of Narad make him the dearmost son of his father, and all this is due to Narad's being a first-class devotee of the Lord. So the Vedas are broadly divided into three departments. That's the Karmakand, fruitive activities, work for material enjoyment. Work so that you can enjoy. And then all the demigod worship, all that comes in that, Karmakand. And then transcendental knowledge is trying to get the knowledge that we are not the body, but we are the soul. What happens is once a person engages in Karmakand, gradually they realize, oh, by associating with the priests who are coming to help them to do the sacrifice and the yagyas, then they get to hear, oh, that we are not the body, we are the soul. Oh, that's why I'm not even enjoying all what I'm getting. Then they try to get the knowledge. Oh, really, who am I? Oh, I'm a spirit soul, Brahman. Then as a spirit soul, what do we do? What does a spirit soul does? Then that comes devotional service, Upasnakan. A spirit soul engages in the service of Krishna. So we can see how the Vedas, they are gradually elevating. It's for gradually elevating. But for people who go directly to devotional service, then it's like taking the elevator to the topmost floor. We don't need to take the staircase, because if we take the staircase, then it takes very long if we have to reach to the top of the building. So we can take up to devotional service directly. And Narad Muni, and so Daksha, he's the Prajapati. So he took over this fruitive work because he created then many sons and many living entities. And then the four Kumaras, they took over the Gyan Kanda section because they are the ones who first were actually the Brahmavadis. And Narad Muni, he's a pure devotee of the Lord. He's a pure devotee. And that's the reason he is mentioned here, as that he pleased his father the most. So if we also want to please our family, we want to please our parents, then we should try to become devotees of Krishna, because automatically good qualities develop in a devotee. The devotees are always anxious to know more and more about the Supreme Lord, the master of all energies, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10.9. Machchita madkata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantas chamam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The Supreme Lord is unlimited and his energies are also unlimited. No one can know them completely. Brahmaji, being the greatest living entity within this universe and being directly instructed by the Lord, must know more than anyone within this universe, although such knowledge may not be complete. Thus, it is the duty of everyone to ask about the unlimited form from the spiritual master in the disciplic succession of Brahma, which descends from Narad to Vyas, from Vyas to Sukadeva, and so on. So Prabhupada is saying it's the duty, it's our duty to ask about the Lord from the spiritual master who's coming in the parampara system beginning from Brahmaji. You know, so we should ask, who is God? And now that's why we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We want to understand to our best degree who's God. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Text 43. Tushtam nishamya pitaram lokanam prapitamaham devarashi paripapracha bhavanyan manu pritchati. The great sage Narad also inquired in detail from his father Brahma, the great-grandfather of all the universe, after seeing him well satisfied. So I'm sorry, I'll just repeat one thing. We just read in the last verse that we should inquire from the spiritual master about the Lord. So there are many people, so-called, who proclaim themselves to be spiritual masters. But if you ask them about God, they will say, oh, don't bother about these things. You know, at your stage, you don't need to know about God. No, but knowing about God is the prime necessity of every living entity. You know, and so that's why we should try to search out a spiritual master who's coming who can guide us properly. Because after all, our future is concerned. You know, why we are here, why we are suffering. It's the most important question that we are asking. Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going to go from here after I leave this body? So let's read the purport of this. The great sage Narad also inquired in detail from his father Brahma, the great-grandfather of all the universe, after seeing him well satisfied. The process of understanding spiritual or transcendental knowledge from the realized person is not exactly like asking an ordinary question from the schoolmaster. The schoolmasters in the modern days are paid agents for giving some information, but the spiritual master is not a paid agent, nor can he impart instruction without being authorized. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.34, the process of understanding transcendental knowledge is directed as follows. So we are urged that we should question the spiritual master who's coming in the parampara, not that we are giving him some money and that's why he's going to give us the answers. No, if somebody is saying that you give me money and I'm going to tell you who you are, then that person is not really a spiritual master. And then how should we ask the question? We shouldn't be challenging. You know, we can't demand. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 4.34, Tat vidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshinaha. Arjuna was advised to receive transcendental knowledge from the realized person by surrender, questions, and service. Receiving transcendental knowledge is not like exchanging dollars. Such knowledge has to be received by service to the spiritual master. As Brahmaji received the knowledge directly from the Lord by satisfying him fully. Similarly, one has to receive the transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master by satisfying him. The spiritual master's satisfaction is the means of assimilating transcendental knowledge. One cannot understand transcendental knowledge simply by becoming a grammarian. So we should please the spiritual master so we can understand. The knowledge about Krishna, the knowledge about the soul is called transcendental knowledge. It's not material. It has nothing to do with this material world. It has nothing to do with our own ability of our own mind, logic, mental speculation. No, it's transcendental. And we can receive it if we can understand it when we are pleasing the spiritual master. The Vedas declare, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasya ite katitha hi artha prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto one who has unflinching devotion to the Lord and to the spiritual master does transcendental knowledge become automatically revealed. Shruteshwara Upanishad 6.23. So, what shall we have? We need to have unflinching devotion to the Lord and to the spiritual master. We should have equal faith in the Guru and in the Lord. And then, because if we have equal faith, then we will follow the process. We will follow what they are saying. And by doing that, they are pleased. And then what happens? We get the knowledge, we get transcendental knowledge. We get situated in that knowledge. We act according to that knowledge. Such a relationship between the disciple and the spiritual master is eternal. One who is now the disciple is the next spiritual master. One cannot be a bona fide and authorized spiritual master unless one has been strictly obedient to his spiritual master. So the disciple and spiritual master relationship goes on eternally. How did the spiritual master become spiritual master? He got the knowledge, he got the training from his spiritual master. He got the understanding from his spiritual master. And then how did his spiritual master get? From his spiritual master, his spiritual master. And if we make a research study, we should reach up to Brahmaji. And then Brahmaji, he got the knowledge from Krishna. So this is the Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Sampradaya. We are hearing from Srila Prabhupada, who's come in the line of Brahmaji. Brahmaji, as a disciple of the Supreme Lord, received the real knowledge and imparted it to his dear disciple Narad. And similarly, Narad, as spiritual master, handed over this knowledge to Vyas, and so on. Therefore, the so-called formal spiritual master and disciple are not facsimiles of Brahma and Narad, or Narad and Vyas. The relationship between Brahma and Narad is reality, while the so-called formality is the relationship between the cheater and the cheated. So here Prabhupada is saying that a true relationship, if it is a true relationship, then the spiritual master is going to give the transcendental knowledge, the real knowledge to his disciple, connect him to Krishna. He will connect him to Krishna. But if somebody is just saying he's a guru and somebody is saying, I am a disciple without hearing from a proper guru, then it's the relationship, Prabhupada is saying, is like the cheater and the cheated. Why? How come? It's because the poor guy who's claiming to be a guru, but he himself doesn't know who's God. He doesn't know what's the truth. So then, of course, he's cheating because he doesn't know what's the truth. And then the disciple who's thinking he's a disciple and he's hearing from such a guru who's misguided, he will be cheated because he will not know what's the truth. It's just that. It is clearly, it's not to degrade anybody or call anybody less or more. It's just, that's the fact, the truth. It is clearly mentioned here that Narad is not only well-behaved, meek and obedient, but also self-controlled. One who is not self-controlled, specifically in sex life, can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. One must have disciplinary training in controlling, speaking, anger, the tongue, the mind, the belly, and the genitals. One who has controlled the particular senses mentioned above is called a Goswami. Without becoming a Goswami, one can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. The so-called spiritual master without sense control is certainly the cheater, and the disciple of such a so-called spiritual master is the cheated. So what is the qualification of a spiritual master is given here. He should be trained. He should be able to control his speech, his anger, the tongue. He should be able to control the tongue, the mind, the belly, and the genitals. And this is the way someone can become a true disciple and a spiritual master. One should not think of Brahmaji as a dead great-grandfather, as we have experience on this planet. He's the oldest great-grandfather, and he is still living. And Narad is also living. So we shouldn't think, oh, Brahmaji was at the time of creation. Now creation happened some billions and billions of years ago. So he's already dead and long gone. Because in our experience, our great-grandfathers or our great-great-great-grandfathers, we don't see them anymore. They are all dead. But Brahmaji and Narad Muni are still living. The age of the inhabitants of the Brahmalok planet is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. The inhabitants of this small planet Earth can hardly calculate even the duration of 1 day of Brahma. Yeah, 1 day of Brahma is 1,000 yugas. The Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. 1,000 times is 1 day of Brahma. So Brahmaji is still living. Any questions or comments or thoughts? No?
No, I think all is clear.
All is clear. Then we can stop here today. Today is Balaram Purnima, so it's a very special day. And in order to get the mercy, in order to approach Radha and Krishna, we need to get the mercy of Balaramji. Without his mercy, we cannot approach Radha and Krishna. And Balaramji, he came 500 years ago as Lord Nityananda. And as Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram, he's the original spiritual master. The spiritual master is a representative of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram always wants to serve Krishna, and he wants to connect us to Krishna so that we can also serve him and become truly happy. So in Lord Nityananda's mood, what was his mood? He wanted to give the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to everyone without any distinction. He also gave the Maha Mantra to Jagai and Madai. He was begging them, please chant. So we can please Balaramji by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. We can ask for his mercy, and we can please him by encouraging others to chant, giving the Hare Krishna mantra to others. And in this way, we can try to attract his mercy. And if we attract his mercy, then that's our greatest fortune. So have a happy Balaram Purnima.
So you mean it's appearance day? Oh.
Yes, today is Balaramji's appearance day.
Appearance day. Oh.
Yes. And that's how then next week is Janmashtami, Lord Krishna.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Balram. Lord Balram came earlier, correct.
Yeah, he came earlier to prepare the field. He came to prepare. He likes to always serve Krishna. So he wanted to prepare the womb of Devaki.
Oh.
So he came earlier. So we can try to please Balaramji today and try to get his mercy. Okay. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shila Prabhupada
ki jai.
Balaram ji ki jai. Balaram Purnima ki jai.
Hare Krishna.